Welcome all. Today I am going to discuss with module 10 person with disability. Myself Dr. B.S. Patil. I am associated with V.M. Salgaonkar College of Law, Goa. In today's discussion, I am going to take up a discussion on access to justice in the light of disabled persons. In this discourse, I am going to take up a discussion on the understanding of concept of disability, the theories which are going around explaining what is disability, the process of rehabilitating these disabled persons, and then finally, I will move on to few of important legislations which provide access to justice to these disabled persons. The expected outcome of these proceedings would be to understand the disability from the access to justice point of view, and during the discourse I expect you all to understand the concept, theories of disability and the rehabilitation models that has been developed by the civilized world for these disabled persons. And also I expect you all to learn that the statutory provisions that has been created, established and implemented for the sake of protecting persons with disability. So, to begin with, the discussion would be on the disability and its relation to the civilization. How a disability can be related to a civilization? This reason is simple. A disabled person or a disability as a whole is a challenge to the society. We who claim to be a civilized world, we are under the duty to establish a society which can treat each and every person equally and with dignity. Now, this challenge to treat each and everybody with dignity, whether we have accepted the challenge, whether the challenge has been accomplished, this is what establishes the civilization level. So, therefore, disability is basically like a disease cause injustice to the person by limiting the range of opportunities which ordinarily a normal person enjoys. So, therefore, when a person with disability comes to an institution, the institution is another duty to provide equal range of opportunities as of a normal human being. So, therefore, whether we have achieved the civilization which is supposed to be a dream to be achieved by the human being, I say that whether we have achieved is still a question mark, because to study our achievement we need to study the conditions at the edge of the society, not in the middle of the society, because the edge of the society they reveal the conditions, the state and the progress of the society. And I consider disabled, this is a micro minority called persons with disability are staying at the edge of the society. The moment they enjoy the rights, the dream of civilization could be achieved. So, therefore, I suggest that the rights of disabled person should be treated as a touchstone to determine the extent of civilization the society has achieved. So, disability comes up with the prejudice. In the medical paradigm, disability is considered as a dysfunction. So, this advantage, or I should say the drawback of this prejudice is that it comes up with an understanding that the curable person, eradicate the incurable person. Now, here we are talking about extinguishing a life only because the society cannot provide him with equal rights. The disability of the society is being treated as a disability of a person. So, this prejudice can lead to a situation where they only provide medical help and then they consider the disabled person as a cursed person. So, this prejudice needs to be addressed. So, this is the first thing that we need to understand. So, the question is why I am discussing all these things under the heading of access to justice. So, here I want to mention that access to justice gets an entirely new meaning when we discuss persons with disability rights. Expecting a disabled person to go to court and access to justice, it is meaningless as long as he has been given equal rights along with others, right to live like a human being. So, therefore, when access to justice is discussed in the light of persons with disability, entitlement becomes access to justice. Whether the dignity, the life with dignity becomes access to justice. So, here in this discourse I am not going to discuss the right of a disabled person to reach court, but I am going to discuss the right of a disabled person to live with dignity. So, disability, is it a grave concern, a matter of a grave concern? Yes, indeed, because disability is, even though we call it as a micro minority, it is not actually a micro minority. Almost 600 million population of this world are disabled persons. Why they are micro minority? They are not only micro minority, they are invisible minority, because of they confine themselves to the four walls of their house. They do not move around in the society. So, as we do not see them, we feel that they are not present, but they are very much present in this world, but only thing is we are not provided them with the proper rights and duties. Poverty and disability, they are correlated with each other. Disabled person ends up with a poverty because of lack of opportunity. That is the reason why this is a matter of a grave concern. Disabled persons education is also limited as the range gets restricted because of his disability. Disability again creates a impact on the economy of the state, as traditionally we feel that the disabled person cannot contribute to the economy of the state, which I want to mention here that it is not true. They cannot contribute to the economy of the state because they are not being empowered. If a person with disability are empowered, they are as good as any other human being. So, 2001 census also revealed that there is a large portion of people who suffer under disability. Now, disability, poverty, they are correlated. Now, this poverty and disability is a vicious cycle, and which is explained on this slide, where disabled person suffers from poverty and the poverty leads to ill health, malnutrition, and further this ill health, malnutrition leads to disability. The inner smaller cycle suggests that a disabled person is denied of his political and economic, social, human development because of limited range of opportunities. His social, economical, human development index would be at the lowest. Absence of these developmental index leads to a situation where he do not exercise his political and civil rights. As a result of that, social and economic rights are also avoided. So, finally, he would suffer from social exclusion. So, like this, disability is not one problem with physicality. Disability is a problem related, it is a multiple problem, and the approach should be of from all directions to solve this challenge. Now, taking the concept of disability into consideration, disability is recognized under three different terms: impairment, disability and handicapped, whether they are one and the same. If they are different, how far they are different from one another.